liar. Hey, look, I mean, I'm not saying she's, like, evil or anything.
Ursula Buffet is more than just Phoebe Buffet's alluring, fantastically mean sister.
I'd invite you, but I only have 2 tickets left.
This mysterious and disturbing presence on Friends is one of comedy's most iconic examples of the evil twin.
May we help you?
These sisters may be identical on the outside.
It's me, Phoebe. Oh, I thought there was a mirror there.
But inside they're total opposites.
Do you want some chicken? No food with a face.
So what's the deeper meaning of Ursula in this story?
It's true, we were 1 egg once, but, we've grown apart, so,
Phoebe's dark double expresses all the negative qualities her sister has rejected. The light sister is warm, well-intentioned, and feeling. The dark one is cold, devious, and basically an embodiment of the apathy Phoebe has worked so hard not to give into.
I just lost a whole year of my life. Okay.
Even though this would have been the easier path given the childhood trauma she lived through.
Let's see, my mom had killed herself, and my dad had run off, and I was living in a gremlin with a guy named Cindy who talked to his hand.
To dig into Ursula's psychology and what she symbolizes on the show, we're going to look back at the history of the evil twin, and why this trope is a window into what we fear most about ourselves.
Twin stuff is always a real big seller.
Before we go on, we want to talk about this video's sponsor. Skillshare is an online learning community where you can learn everything from video editing to business strategy, coding, or lucid dreaming. They offer 25,000 online classes from famous teachers at the top of their field. And right now, Skillshare is offering our viewers 2 months access to all their classes for free. So click the link in the description below to sign up now. So, where does the evil twin come from?
The old saying, you know, that one of twins is likely to be abnormal.
The good-evil twin structure comes from the idea in many cultures that twins embody duality or are inversions of each other.
You see, in all witch twins, one twin is evil and the other one is good.
In recent memory, the character type is most associated with soap operas.
What a soap opera. I was waiting for, like, an evil twin to appear.
As we see on Friends itself.
I got an audition for All My Children, and I'm so right for it, you know? He's just like me. Except that he's a boxer and has an evil twin.
He's not Drake. He's Hans Ramore, Drake's evil twin.
And Ursula's plots channel the over-the-top villainy of the soap opera-style clone.
Okay. Yeah, not a prayer chain, but what looks like a detailed drawing of a bank floor plan.
As she exploits her likeness to Phoebe for her own gain.
That was Phoebe Buffet, the porn star.
Creating confusion and chaos everywhere she goes.
We didn't have sex.
Well, if I didn't have sex with you, I had sex with somebody that looked an awful lot like...
No.
Ew,
Oh,
ew,
no.
ew.
The evil twin has been gracing our screens at least since the 1930s and 40s, and can be traced to a variety of genres. Horrors.
I've been getting ready for this for months. Now when I appear before them as the kindly Anton, no one will oppose me.
Noir thrillers.
Well, that's what twins are, you know. Reflections of each other. Everything in reverse.
Westerns.
He's just a man who looks like me. Apparently enough so to be my twin.
And serial films. It's also a long-standing fixture in comic books.
Who are you? The question is, who are you?
The 1939 adaptation of Alexandre Dumas' Man in the Iron Mask is a good template for a lot of what would become fixtures of evil twin stories.
We were almost one body, one life. You have, me have.
Twins who've been separated for a long time.
She said you guys haven't talked in like years.
Yeah.
To the point that the good twin may not even know about the other.
I am saving your majesty the embarrassment of hanging your twin brother.
Brother?
And identifying physical marks so the audience can tell them apart.
Oh, it's a tattoo. That's weird. Phoebe does... Oh. Wait, that's Ursula!
The evil twin impersonating their sibling.
Let's go, Phoebe.
And you're using my name.
The good twin coming out on top, symbolizing the triumph of justice.
I just went to pick up Phoebe Buffet's checks. There were a lot of them.
And environmental differences that may partially explain the twins' wildly divergent moral compasses.
But you forced my half to live in shadow and despair, so that your half might live in grandeur and glory.
One of the most artistically significant early uses of the evil twin is Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, in which a good-hearted Jewish barber is a dead ringer for the most evil figure imaginable, Adenoid Hinkle, a mocking stand-in for Adolf Hitler. Against the backdrop of this bottomless hate, the barber becomes a beacon of goodness and hope.
We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another.
Chaplin's 1940 film was made to fight fascism in the midst of World War II, and it brings out the main point of the evil twin dichotomy. It's a way of using two people to represent inverse moral views.
The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way.
This is exactly what we see in Friends, too. Ursula is the inverse of Phoebe's most defining character traits. Phoebe's relationships mean everything to her.
My friends are the most important thing in my life.
So Ursula doesn't seem to care about anyone.
See, I already thought she was dead, so I've kind of made my peace with it.
Phoebe is generous and giving to a fault. Ursula is selfish and only takes.
It's a filthy, disgusting habit, and I want you to quit now.
She's helped so many people to quit smoking.
At the core of Ursula's characterization is a total lack of feeling for others.
Do you have my birth certificate? No, I sold it to a Swedish runaway.
Which underlines that the core of Phoebe's character is how much she cares.
I'm gonna be out there spreading joy to the people. I mean, last year I spread a little joy, but not really enough. So this year, I'm gonna do the whole city.
Ursula's evil twin nature was actually born of circumstance. The character originated on another popular sitcom, Mad About You, which ran on NBC from 1992 to 1999.
Well, I think our waitress took another job. Hello. Oh, there you are.
And I'll have the same.
As her?
Yeah, same as her, but I like my own.
Okay, I'll ask if we're allowed to do that.
Ursula's original personality was still oblivious.
Ursula, the menu is on fire. Ursula.
Okay, what do you want?
The menu is on fire.
Oh, all right. Oh, there.
But she wasn't a villain. She was just off in her own world.
I saw Ursula as like this nice person. You know, really nice. Just didn't pay attention to anything. You look different.
Well, I had a baby last time you saw me. I was pregnant.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
You got your braces off.
When Lisa Kudrow was cast as Phoebe on Friends, the show creators were tasked with explaining why the same actress was appearing on two different shows with similar time slots. So they made the characters twins, and it was then that Ursula was reframed as a dark antagonist.
I think it was the Friends writers who decided that Ursula was this evil person. You know. Maybe they didn't like that they had to include her. I don't know.
When Phoebe first mentions Ursula, she explains the conflict between her and her sister as a lack of things in common.
You're a twin? Oh, yeah. We don't speak. She's like this high-powered, driven career type.
What does she do?
She's a waitress.
But when we meet Ursula, she strikes us as very similar to Phoebe.
Hello, miss.
It's Phoebe. Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Okay, will that be all?
Can we start over?
Yeah, okay, great. I'm gonna be over here.
No.
She's deeply quirky, and you never know what she'll do or say next.
I think Ursula likes me. All I ordered was coffee. She brought me a tuna melt and 4 plates of curly fries.
In Mad About You, we get plenty of scenes where you'd be hard-pressed to tell which sister you're watching.
May ye endureth winter's oncoming wrath.
So what, is Riff's doing a whole Thanksgiving theme thing where all the staff dresses up?
No.
On Friends, though, Ursula's weirdness is reinterpreted as pathology, a sign that she's a sociopath.
The only reason he's marrying you is because he thinks all the things you were saying about yourself were true. Well, they could be true, but they're not. Yeah, it's a fine line, huh?
By the 1960s, TV was full of evil twins, on everything from The Flintstones to I Dream of Jeannie.
Goodbye, sucker. I mean, that's sisters.
3 out of the 7 of the castaways on Gilligan's Island had to fend with evil twins.
I can pass as Ginger at the party tonight. I can fool anyone, anywhere.
Popular Western Bonanza gave evil twins to all 3 of the main family's sons. One character, Little Joe, even got 2 separate evil twins. These examples showed how writers reach for the evil twin to explore who their characters really are by contrasting them with a shadow.
You know, boss, there's just one thing that worries me. It's about this Superman, the real one, I mean. You know, he's not a punk like me.
In Friends, too, Ursula represents a kind of alternate life for Phoebe.
There goes my identical twin sister. Just walking along, looking like me.
We know that Phoebe has a certain darkness in her. It comes out whenever she speaks about her past life.
Well, a pipe was my weapon of choice, and preteen comic book nerds were my meat.
And in the alternate reality episodes where she's an obsessive, uncompromising workaholic.
It's okay. You're allowed one mistake. Just kidding. You are, of course, fired.
In light of this, it's interesting that she describes Ursula as a
high-powered, driven career type
when she's clearly not. This underlines that Ursula represents the person Phoebe easily could have been, but actively chooses not to be, by opting to do the hardest thing you can do when the world hasn't been kind to you: care. The sad irony revealed through Ursula's storyline is that in our society, it often pays not to care. Even though Phoebe and Ursula are identical, Ursula has long been considered the more appealing version.
Like, everyone always thought of her as the pretty one.
As an adult, Ursula is irresistible to men.
I think she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
Thank you.
She's like a siren who puts them in a lovesick spell.
One more chance, Ursula, please.
You know, I mean, this is what she does to guys, okay?
While Phoebe picks up the pieces of the broken hearts her sister leaves in her wake.
I'm just gonna help him, you know, get de-Ursulized. That's good. You should be impulsive and you should be romantic. Just, you did it with the wrong person.
So what is it about Ursula that is so spellbinding to the opposite sex?
Hey, what do you think of her?
She carries a very nice tray.
Boy, I'll say.
Ursula is unknowable. Her inner nature is a total mystery.
I don't know. I like her, you know? She's different. There's, something about her.
Most likely because she's totally empty, but in her admirers, this sparks an obsessive desire to see inside an opaque personality. Ursula is unattainable, totally emotionally unavailable.
So, are you gonna call him? What, you think he likes me? No, Joey. Oh, no, he is so smart. He'll figure it out.
Ultimately, it appears to be Ursula's very lack of caring.
Why are you taking this so seriously? It's just a marriage.
The fact that she doesn't really give a damn about them or anything.
Well, I'm supposed to be working at the restaurant tonight. I'm supposed to be working right now, so who cares?
That drives men wild.
Well, did you try calling her? I've been trying for 2 days. When I called the restaurant, they said she was too busy to talk. I can't believe she's blowing me off.
Essentially, it's Ursula's worst personality that makes her more attractive to men.
Phoebe's Phoebe. Ursula's hot.
No doubt the injustice of this stabs Phoebe in the heart, especially when it's Joey who falls for this emotional detachment, given Phoebe's special love for this friend, which, it's hinted at times, may border on romantic feelings.
Yeah, crushes happen all the time. I know I've had them for all you guys. Well, except for Ross and Chandler.
It's true that Ursula's style of emotional detachment frequently gets rewarded in our society. Ursula goes through life more unscathed than Phoebe. She hurts others, and they don't get to hurt her. In the Mad About You finale, we're told,
Ursula Buffet, as you know, became governor of New York.
A joke playing on how total incompetence inevitably rises to the top.
Put on the pancake. Just pay her.
Yeah.
My biggest fears are literally twins and clowns.
Lookalikes are a prime example of what Freud called the uncanny, a disconcerting mix of the familiar and the unfamiliar. Freud said one source of the uncanny is repetition. Superstitions about twins may also come from the fact that having multiple babies at a time is much more common for non-human animals. To this day, there are some cultures that see twins as evil and will go as far as to kill twin babies. The formidable threat of the evil twin draws on all these supernatural associations and misconceptions.
How'd you know I was coming? Twin thing.
How can you defeat someone who looks like you and knows how you'll act? Plus, seems to have access to otherworldly power.
They think like us. They know where we are. They won't stop until they kill us.
or we kill them.
In Friends, we can see this in how Ursula apparently knows everything about their past.
I read about her in Mom's suicide note. There was a suicide note? Yeah, no, we're not 30, we're 31. Okay.
While Phoebe is constantly searching and struggling to fill in the mystery of her personal history.
Your middle name is Pamela? Yes. No, I never knew mine.
The evil twin uses their gifts to impersonate their sibling for malevolent purposes.
Sister, you kissed my master and made him think it was me.
Wantonly destroying the good twin's reputation.
Instead, he picked up that rifle and shot my brother Ab. Glenn, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't been up in Red Wing in months.
We can all relate to how nightmarish this would feel if someone who looked exactly like you showed up and started turning your world against you, getting you into trouble for things you didn't do. How could you possibly prove this wasn't you?
I'm your dad's twin brother! No one believes me!
Unfortunately for Oscar, You've Got the Wrong Twin was a very popular alibi.
This is exactly what Ursula does.
He just said Phoebe's a porn star.
Well, I wouldn't call her a star, but she's really good. You should check out Inspector Gadget.
We also get a reversal of this when good twin Phoebe impersonates her sister in service of an act of kindness, letting Joey down easy.
You know, you're gonna be really, really hard to get over.
Underlying this fear of being impersonated by an evil imposter is another, even more potent nightmare. What if it is you? In literature, a version of the evil twin has long been around as the doppelganger.
Doppelganger. A corporeal likeness that appears unbidden from the spirit world, the sight of which presages one's own death.
Seeing this alternate version of yourself is a reminder of your mortality. And it's also a manifestation of what Carl Jung called the shadow, which he said, quote, personifies everything that the subject refuses to acknowledge about himself. Phoebe reacts to Ursula with fearful aversion.
I think it would be okay if I asked out your sister.
Why? Why would you want to do that? Why?
Like this person embodies the urges and impulses within her that she most detests and strives to keep in check. Jordan Peele's Us imagines that we all have doppelgangers embodying our buried guilt and sins.
What are you people? We're Americans.
Perhaps the most iconic example of this idea is Robert Louis Stevenson's Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We're presented with a violent criminal character named Hyde and a good one named Jekyll, only to learn that these two are actually one person.
And the so-called evil, once liberated, would fulfill itself and trouble us no more.
So this story highlights how the evil double is really a narrative stand-in for that part of ourselves that we're trying to cut out.
Which in psychological terms represents the person's secret desires and impulses, committing acts that the real person cannot commit himself.
We can see a modern update to this story in Breaking Bad.
Mirrored images, right? Active, inactive, good, bad.
Where the inoffensive chemistry teacher Walter White discovers a Mr. Hyde within himself, the meth cook mastermind Heisenberg.
Say my name.
And this inner evil twin gradually takes over.
I did it for me. I liked it.
This idea that the protagonist and their evil doppelganger are two parts of the same person is reinforced by the common practice of one actor playing both roles. In so many stories, the monster is a dark mirror of the hero, an inversion of the hero's value system which must be defeated. The evil twin makes this in your face by turning the monster into the hero's literal mirror. Ursula the Shadow defines Phoebe's bright light. And we might all ask ourselves, what does my shadow look like? What is the version of myself I'm most afraid of? Ursula may come across as one-dimensionally evil.
If I cheat on him, I can call it an affair.
But is Phoebe truly a reliable narrator where her sister is concerned?
She was the first one to start walking, even though I did it later that same day. But to my parents, by then it was like, yeah, right, well, what else is new?
Most of Phoebe's reasons for disliking Ursula come from the distant past.
She's always breaking my stuff. When I was 8, and I wouldn't let her have my Judy Jetson thermos, so she threw it under the bus.
Revealing that her rigid mental image of her sister was formed a long time ago.
And she, you know, kind of stole him away and then broke his heart. And then he wouldn't even talk to me anymore.
Phoebe's recollections betray an envy of Ursula that carries through to this day.
He's really nutsy about you. He is? Why? You got me.
And there's nothing like envy to make us interpret everything about someone in the worst possible light.
You try this on, I just want to make sure it fits.
Oh, my first birthday present. Oh, this is really...
Oh, no. It's for Ursula.
It's worth trying to picture all of this from Ursula's perspective. When we get this exchange in their very first scene together...
You have not changed. Yeah, you too.
It's hinted that Ursula finds her sister deeply irritating, and there may be some lingering baggage on her end as well.
Can I come in? Yeah, no thanks.
It's not hard to imagine that Phoebe may not have been the easiest sibling to live with. As a youth, she was a hardened, violent criminal.
Well, someday I'll tell you about the time I stabbed the cop.
Phoebe?
What? He stabbed me first!
When Phoebe greets her sister after all these years with the gift of a Judy Jetson thermos...
Right, like the kind you... Right. Yeah.
If you're Ursula, this comes across as a pretty passive-aggressive gesture. A reminder that she's still not over something childish you did when you were 8. Ursula is the kind of person who doesn't feel the need to explain herself when people don't get her. This doesn't necessarily mean that the obvious interpretation of her behavior is the correct one. The truth is that Ursula is a mystery, and she remains that because Phoebe just doesn't get her.
Why are you lying to him? I don't know. He said he did all this stuff, and then I said I did it too, and he got so excited. It was really fun.
We too are primed to see Ursula through these biased eyes, so we don't extend her the same empathy and benefit of the doubt that we automatically give her twin. But if you really do try to make sense of Ursula in Mad About You as the same person we see on Friends,
What's the soup today? Wait, I know this one.
It's plausible to say that Ursula's evil is really Phoebe's harsh read of a person who, while she's no saint, may deserve a more sympathetic look.
What's your name?
I'm Ursula.
Ursula. I like that name.
I don't. I hate it.
When the friends are still under the impression that it's Phoebe in the porn video, Monica justifies this.
I guess it kind of makes sense, though. She had such a terrible childhood.
And she hits on something here. The sister's difficult youth may well be why Ursula acts out in stereotypical ways. Selling her body.
So you're making porn movies? No, I'm not.
We're still rolling.
Being emotionally closed off and shutting down potential relationships.
He is so great. But that's over.
And not wanting Phoebe or any other family in her life.
Who is it? It's Phoebe. Oh, great. Oh, you.
Seen through this lens, Ursula is really a tragic figure who's been permanently scarred by her painful past. Recent examples of the evil twin bring out that antisocial behavior can stem from feeling mistreated by society.
I couldn't stop thinking about you. About how good you have it.
Are you seeing the movie Annie? Like that. Only no nice Miss Hannigan for us, and my Sandy was a rat.
It's true that Phoebe lived through the same childhood as Ursula, but it's also true Ursula's behavior seems a far more realistic response to trauma than Phoebe's happy-go-lucky warmth.
And I ended up living with this albino guy who was like cleaning windshields outside Port Authority, and then he killed himself. And then I found aromatherapy, so believe me, I know exactly how you feel.
There are plenty of positive stories about twins completing each other and sharing profound emotional intimacy.
There's 2 of me. I mean, 2 of us.
The twin bond embodies the fantasy of being born with a soulmate for life.
There's a twin bond. Unless you experienced it, you can't understand.
We're twins. We're not like regular people. When I was a kid, broke my arm and he cried out in pain 10 miles away.
Twins may develop their own language, and the Minnesota twin family study found that genetic influence is so strong that even twins separated at infancy are likely to end up having an eerie amount in common.
I eat them with peanut butter. You do? That is so weird. So do I. You're kidding.
Most people find that totally disgusting.
On Game of Thrones, Cersei and Jaime Lannister are an interesting example of both the good-bad twin dichotomy and the intimate twin bond. You might say Cersei is Jaime's evil twin, yet the show suggests their incestuous romantic connection is a closeness we non-twins can't even imagine.
We shared a womb. Came into this world together, we belong together.
Cersei and Jaime's twin obsession is a little extreme.
Nothing else matters. Only us.
Still, when we look at estranged twins Phoebe and Ursula,
Oh, I got you a birthday present. Oh, wow, you remembered.
we can't help but see a missed opportunity for a one-of-a-kind ally who knows you like no one can.
Yeah, it's gonna be a small ceremony, just family. His.
Even though Phoebe's friends are her chosen family, we sense that not having a good relationship with her sister really wears on her.
That's everything I wanted to do before I was 30. Oh, except I wanted to patch things up with my sister.
And we get a hint that maybe, deep down, Ursula wants Phoebe in her life too.
Wait, if you want to come, I guess that'd be okay. Really? Sure, why not? You could be my sister for the day.
Her feelings are just buried under many more defensive layers than Phoebe's are. And the sad truth is, the kind of misfortunes these sisters have endured so often do drive a wedge between people, instead of strengthening their bond.
And I have a sister who I've barely spoken to since we shared a womb.
While we can applaud Phoebe for choosing not to be like Ursula, that also means Ursula has the potential to be more like Phoebe, if only she were willing to give into the goodness she's repressed deep within.
It's just so weird, two people look so much alike. So different.
This video is sponsored by Skillshare, an online learning community we love, with over 25,000 classes taught by seasoned pros. Skillshare has a class on pretty much anything you could want. You can develop your creativity through a class on calligraphy, graphic design, or writing. You can learn to succeed in business with classes on how to make it as a freelancer, market a podcast, or become an Instagram influencer. You can use it to master new technology through classes on web design, coding, and data science. Or you can bring that extra flair into your lifestyle, sharpen your knife skills, learn paper making, speak Spanish, or let Eric Marinovich, a lettering artist and designer, teach you a step-by-step process for hand lettering. Right now, Skillshare is offering our viewers 2 months access to all their classes for free. Just click the link in the description below to check it out today.